let's start the next session with a panel discussion brought to you by Brahmins, enabling Kerala's ecosystem for entrepreneurship, right? The moderator for this session will be Revathi Krishna, Executive Director, Suyati Technologies and Kerala Chapter Chair for Thai Women. And of course, our guests for the afternoon are going to be Nidhi Saraf, Founder and CEO, KIED Venture, Anoop Ambika, CEO, Kerala Startup Mission, Sarath Viraj, CEO and Executive Director, Kerala Institute for Entrepreneurship and Development.
Thank you, Anjali. Good morning, everyone. As you can see, I'm sitting behind two men, between two men, divide and conquer. That's our role here. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being on time, back after the tea break. We are talking about ecosystem today. So, what is an ecosystem? Is this conference an ecosystem? Definitely. Because this is a place where we are safe, we are heard, and we can learn. So, at a higher level, an ecosystem is simply an equal access to four things: information, infrastructure, innovation, and most importantly, investment. So let's see how we can extract ideas over the next half an hour from these three very, very experienced panelists on how to make Kerala's ecosystem better for business. So now whether it is crashes run by Kudumbashri or policy changes at the government level, we need every element to be on perfect point for the ecosystem to be at its best. So we have just 30 minutes today, so without any further ado, I would like to introduce the three panelists for you today. I'll start with Nidhi Saraf, founder and CEO of KIED Venture, investor, mentor, entrepreneur. Way back in 2009, Nidhi was the first employee of the Mumbai Angels Network. I didn't even know what that meant at this point. She started her journey when just the ecosystem itself was fairly new in India. Since then, she has worked with leading angel networks in the country like IAN, which is the Indian Angel Network, IntelliCap Impact Investment Network, and also has worked with portfolio companies of Mumbai Angels like Wild East Group. If you don't know what Wild East Group is, they have brands like KKR, Yash Raj Films, and Dr. Seuss. Of course, when you are an investor and mentor, you also eventually become an entrepreneur. She started KIED Ventures 5 years ago, which raises funds for seed, angel, series A, B investments, equity and debt, largely focused in India. KIED Ventures works very closely with large corporates to leverage their expertise in the startup ecosystem. So in fact, investor, mentor, entrepreneur, perfect for today's panel discussion. Welcome, Nidhi.
So much, thanks.
I'm sitting between two men who, for the record, are the only two male speakers today. So, our next panelist is Anoop Ambika, CEO of Kerala Startup Mission. Again, serial entrepreneur, organizer, technology enthusiast. Anoop recently took over as the CEO of KSAM, which is the state government's nodal agency for entrepreneurship development and incubation activities. He is a co-founder also of several technology startups and serves as a chief executive officer of GenPro Research. GenPro Research is a next-generation services technology partner for the pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and medical service industry. But in fact, even before that, Anoop conceptualized and co-founded Kriara Solutions, one of the first data analytics companies in India in 2004. Welcome, Anoop. The gentleman on my left, Sarath Raj, this is how he describes himself. Father of a single girl child, woohoo. Husband of an IT professional, son of inspirational parents, and always a student, now CEO and ED of KIED. Very inspiring. Sarath is passionate about creating positive impact through entrepreneurship, innovation, and collaboration. With more than 15 years in public and private sector, he has strong competencies in the areas of strategy, business transformation, policy planning, formulation, and execution. Before he became the CEO of KIED, which by the way is the Kerala Institute for Entrepreneurship Development, and he has worked very closely with Thai Kerala and Thai women to promote us. He has served on the boards of Kerala Khadi and Village Industries Board, Kerala State Productivity Council, etc. Welcome, Sarath. Okay, shall we start, ladies? Yes. So, we have exactly 30 minutes, and most of you know I'm a stickler for time, so we will end by 28 minutes so that we have enough time to give the delegates their gifts. So, first question. I would like each of you to introduce yourself, your role in this ecosystem, and the one focus this year that you're doing in that role. Start with Nidhi.
Thank you so much, Revathi. First and foremost, a wonderful crowd. I've been telling Revathi since the time I've entered that, how did you manage to pull in so many women together? And you all are smiling and energetic. So thank you so much for waking it, and hats off to all of you for coming, 9:30 sharp. So I know we have a WhatsApp group, and she said that registration is done and everything. Why aren't you out here still as a speakers? So I know that you guys did it, and wonderful. Seriously, seriously feels awesome to be here. That's the first statement which I want to make it across. And definitely kudos to the organizers who could do this and everybody who made it. About myself and what do I feel like doing and what's my mission and vision. Quickly, yes, I've been in the startup ecosystem for 15 years now. Started in 2008 after I did my MBA. When I started, this ecosystem was extremely, extremely new. Like, we just had one success story in Mobi. To Angel Network, Indian Angel Network, Mumbai Angel, 1.5-year-old. We just had Matrix, Axel, Sequoia, Nexus putting in larger checks. We had international funds like Sharpalo, Canon Partners, those have exited India, but we did not have so many incubations, accelerators, Angel Networks. So I've seen the entire ecosystem growing, and definitely let me tell you, we have done a fabulous job because the government had to move and had to come up with startup policies and all. So we definitely added one more industry to the entire ecosystem is what we really, really proudly want to tell ourselves. That's what we should say. Kudos to being an entrepreneur or investors. As Key Venture, we are an investment banking firm because I strictly feel that raising capital is not an easy job. It's a full-time job, and you need to be dedicatedly doing that without having a hat of anything else but just a fundraiser. And pre-Series A is definitely a dent in the ecosystem, which needs a lot more holding. So as an investment banker, we raise capitals, and in this short span of 4.5 years, done 12 transactions across startup sectors. So some would be Miko, which is a robotic edtech deal. Secure Things, which is into deep automotive cyber securities. So we pick up very extraordinary startups, tough deal to target, but yes, the success has been great. We have 100% conversion, 100% success ratio. With that, we mean every company we've picked up raised capital, and all of them are doing good. My mission for this year is that I've expanded my team. Earlier, I was just myself and one more team member managing deals. Now, as we cross 2 quarters of this financial year, we have a team of 6 people, one more co-founder, and we are doing 8 transactions. We wish to do more transactions and just contribute to the ecosystem as much as can be, specifically focused on fundraise. That's the brief.
Thank you. Anoop?
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
He's not at all nervous. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I echo your thoughts that it's indeed a great pleasure. I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see such a large crowd of women entrepreneurs in this room. It is indeed very inspiring. I was just telling the Deputy High Commissioner that I was very, it was an enlightenment for me in terms that so many people have ventured out. They have gotten into the journey. It's indeed very inspiring. I'll introduce myself. My name is Anoop Ambika. I've been in the Startup Mission CEO role only for the last 2 months. I joined on July 11th, which means that I'm only getting my feet wet. Still too early to do anything. I am a computer science engineer. I studied in TKM College of Engineering, passed out in 95. I also did my master's in computational biology and bioinformatics. And then I worked with GE Medical Systems, Wipro GE Medical Systems, on medical equipment and software. Then went to US, spent almost 7 years in US. And by the time I was 30 years, I call it the 30-year itch. You start to think about what are you doing with your life. You know, you do the same job over and over again, and you want to do something different. So obviously the biggest influence or the decision maker would be my wife. whether we can plunge into the world of entrepreneurship. So I asked her, like, I'm pretty much having a monotonous life in US. Should we go back and start something? And she supported wholeheartedly. My parents were against it. My in-laws were against it. Entrepreneurship was not very fashionable those days. It was just getting started. This was in 2003. The entire village from which I'm coming from said that I'm mad to come back from US and start something in Kerala. But, you know, sometimes that is the biggest, as entrepreneurs, you would understand that when you decide to do something, you just go ahead and do it. You are ready to take the risk. You are ready to, you know, take the plunge, as I call it, right? We went ahead, we created a company, worked for almost 15 years in that, 2003 to 2012 years in that company. The company got acquired in 2015, and then I was working as an employee for the next 1 year. That is when I realized that once an entrepreneur, it is pretty difficult to go back to being an employee. So you just went ahead and started your next company, and which is again a 150 people company right now, primarily based out of Boston, Baroda, Trivandrum, and we have some offices in San Francisco and Ireland. So that we primarily work on the pharmaceutical industry. Then again, the itch came. I would call it the, I don't want to reveal my age, but you know, the itch came
we'll
again.
We'll keep it low 30s.
Well, whatever,
yeah.
you know, you can. But yeah, I said, that itch came back and again and said that, oh, you have been there, done that, you have created the company. Somebody can grow it now. What do you do? And then came, you know, one fine day I just saw this, actually somebody called me up and said that Startup Mission is looking for a new CEO. You should apply because entrepreneurs being at the helm of affairs might have a different perspective. And suddenly I thought, yeah, why not? You know, I just went ahead and applied, and here I am sitting to a bunch of brilliant ladies, and you know, I look forward to having a wonderful discussion.
And your focus this year as KSM CEO?
Yes, so that's very interesting. We actually divide entrepreneurship into different buckets, right? I mean, at least from a startup mission perspective. I was just telling the UK team also. So if you were to say adopt, adapt, innovate, and invent. Adopt is where you just take a product that is already there in the market and you do it again, right? That is an MSME play for me. Nothing is being changed. The technology is already available, the machinery is already available, and that is where the industries department will come into the picture. Sarath would
Sorry to interrupt. I thought the focus would be women entrepreneurship.
No, I'll get to that.
Okay.
And then comes the adopt and innovate, which means that I'm taking something that is already existing and change the way in which the process is done, which is what the Uber has done, the Redbus has done, Book My Show has done, right? We used to go to the theaters, book our tickets, but then all of a sudden there is a digital transformation Swiggy has done, right? You don't take parcels anymore. You just sit at home and order. I don't do that now because they charge a hefty, you know, processing fee. So I go to the hotel and pick up my parcels now. And then there is a bucket called invent, okay? So there are two areas where I have seen significant women participation in. And one is adopt. And that is where I go back to olden days of me reading, sitting and reading Vanitha, right? Vanitha, സ്ത്രീകളുടെ വഴികാട്ടിയും എന്തോ ആണെന്നാണ് വനിതയുടെ ഇതെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സ്ത്രീകളുടെ സുഹൃത്തും വഴികാട്ടിയും, yeah. പക്ഷേ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ വനിത വായിക്കുന്നത് എനിക്കൊന്ന് പുരുഷന്മാരായിരിക്കുന്നതാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു I don't know. So basically when you read Vanitha, right, you see all this അലങ്കാര മത്സ്യകൃഷിയിൽ നിന്ന് ലക്ഷങ്ങൾ നേടൂ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഓർക്കിഡ് കൃഷിയിൽ നിന്ന് ലക്ഷങ്ങൾ നേടൂ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന that initial threats of entrepreneurship, at least women entrepreneurship, and I think Vanitha had a major role in putting that seed in the mind of the homemakers of the state. So adopt is an area I think where women entrepreneurship has flourished in the state, and I don't know how many of you fall into other buckets, but I'm pretty certain that most of the women sitting here belong to the MSME category. The other area that I'm pleasantly surprised to see is the area of invent. And invent is going to happen from the research that is happening within the universities, the research institutes. I see a great amount of women participation when it comes to the life sciences research, when it comes to the biotechnology research, when it comes to the food research, femtech research, and things like that. So I believe that research or inventions along with MSMEs is going to be our focus. And to put the statistic, there are 3,900 companies as part of the Kerala ecosystem, Kerala startup ecosystem. I'm not talking about the industry ecosystem, out of which we only have 178 women entrepreneurs. And definitely, Revathi, one of the primary objectives this year would be to concentrate on these two buckets and bring that number probably to greater than 500 people. That is what we are trying to do.
Over to you, Sarath.
Good morning, good afternoon all. It's a pride to be here. That would be the correct word to use, mostly for different reasons. One is, when I came down, I had thought of what to talk to you about my introduction, but after listening to you, I think I will change what I had in my mind. So, to give some background, I am basically a mechanical engineer, then did my post-graduation in management and a PGDM later in finance. And has my engagements in private and public sector, in sectors like manufacturing, then also in the service, and right now in the public sector in tourism and also in the industries. So that's a gist of things which happened in my career. And my tryst with entrepreneurship, to be precise, is that I am also a serial failed entrepreneur. And I also felt the itch, but managed to get some ointment and stay in the public sector. But definitely entrepreneurship is always on my cards. And the closest I can get to the ring without getting punched is to be the CEO of Kerala Institute of Entrepreneurship Development. And that's why when I got a chance, I got into this role. So I think that's a summary about me. So here I am representing KIED, Kerala Institute for Entrepreneurship Development. It's an entity started way back in the early 90s by Department of Industries and Commerce to foster entrepreneurship in the state. So we had decades of history. Right now, we are declared as a center of excellence in entrepreneurship development by Government of Kerala. So I think we will talk about it in the further down the line also. And regarding by priority for the current year, I would say we would like to have, as Anoop said, we would like to have some, rather than having a general focus, some sectoral focus in terms of industries and also in terms of groups of entrepreneurs, like especially as we said, we already had nice discussions with TIE and Anisha after taking over as the president of TIE. We even interacted quite a lot on women entrepreneurship. So one is sector focus, especially on women and other minority genders, youth, and help them focus on the MSME sector, not on new enterprise creation, but on the growth focused entrepreneurs. So we want to focus this year presently on those entrepreneurs who are already into the entrepreneurship space, but looking to grow with a focus on certain sectors and entrepreneur groups. So that's the priority which we have set for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'm going to get a bit more aggressive looking at the time. I want in one sentence or two. Nidhi, what is holding women back from becoming the next unicorn?
So I will not agree or disagree on this statement, because we do see unicorns, leadership and women also nowadays. But yes, I do acknowledge that women do take time and do have a lot of reservations, societal, personal, professionally, to go to the up in the hierarchy and to make their presence felt over there and to be acknowledged by the crowd. But having said that, there is no secret sauce. Just to be very, very honest over there. I just tell everybody, so it's not like I have not raised capital or I've not seen women raising capital or having startups successful. Even way 2009 or 10 or 11 when it was very early, yes, struggles were there, but they tried making it, some have made it. What stops people in just 2 or 3 bullet pointers, which I tell to everybody and anybody, regardless of the gender, is stop putting yourself into the bracket of a gender, male, female. Stop putting yourself into a bracket of age group. I'm teenager, I'm old, I'm mid-age crisis. Don't put yourself into the geographic buckets that, you know, I'm from lower middle class, upper middle class, I'm from a tier 2, I'm from metros. I think once you put yourself into those buckets, you stop thinking beyond that level and you want to break that barricade first and then you want to think about your venture. That's one thing which I tell everybody, hey, if you're out there, but that's the truth I'm telling you. Everybody faces challenges in the circumstances they are in, whatever I've said. And second, I tell everybody that, hey, raising capital is not really required. That's a benchmark which people have created over a time as a glorified thing. But every company do not need to raise capital to be there. It's a very glorified industry. The way you raise capital, you get the glamour, but that's a short life. So sit back and think, even without raising capital, you're happy and you're doing good. Just pat yourself and be happy. Raising capital should not be a mission if you started something.
I stand corrected. Thank you, Nidhi. Sarath, what is holding women entrepreneurs back? What is holding them back? And please remember, you're talking to a crowd of 400 plus.
So I think that question has to be reframed because nobody is
Okay,
holding
what
them
is
back
making
with
them
the-
succeed? Let's put it that way.
Okay, to answer to the question, I would say women entrepreneurs per se doesn't face any challenge. I think there's silence in the room, but we know, like if you look at the Udyam data, I just went through the Udyam data, which is one of the reasonable data source available. Around 81% of the MSME entrepreneurs in our country are male. Having said that, why I gave a very categorical statement that women entrepreneurs doesn't face any specific challenge is because most of the challenges which women entrepreneurs face are the same challenges women face in every facet of their life, whether it's in a professional career or let's say it's in the social context. The challenges remain the same. The difference I see is the magnitude of the impact of those challenges when you choose entrepreneurship as a career. So let's say the general challenges which a woman faces, like in terms of mobility, in terms of spatial constraints, in terms of capital access, is always there. Or let's say how you manage the power politics within the organization. There is, all women face the challenge, but when it's a woman entrepreneur, it's a de facto state for you to be the topmost leader in the organization. So to get the acceptance within the team, and when you go and negotiate, I have heard instances where people were reluctant to spare out their facilities, or let's say their office spaces to women, or when the time for signing an agreement comes, they ask for the husband or the father. So these kind of issues are magnified in case of a woman. In case of mobility, even in KIED, we find that when we take the stock of the participants, we find husband-wife duo. Many of them will be husband-wife. So actually the driver behind coming and joining that program is the wife. So in order to have that mobility or maybe the lack of empowerment to come along, they bring along maybe some neighbors, maybe some mostly their parents or somebody. So these kind of issues, for a woman entrepreneur, it's not a choice. They have to go out, they have to network, they have to meet people. So, but the social constraints which any woman will face is magnified on all those sides. Even in the capital access, since I have read some article where VCs have constantly asked women, what will happen if you marry and get pregnant? So, this question comes when we interview candidates also, like or when we interview a young candidate. Right now there is a batch happening at KIED. It's not an entrepreneurship program, but a management development program for a youngster group, where the management told that they had to shuffle the batch couple of times because a couple of the participants were feeding mothers. So these kind of constraints are already we have to put get the elephant into the room. So just mentioning, I totally agree. We can't put people in as student entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, or let's say transgender entrepreneurs and all. But these challenges get magnified when we take up a career like entrepreneurship.
So can I just add to that
sure.
one? I can tell you one thing, when I pick up a mandate, or not now, even earlier, I used to ask the men entrepreneur or the men founders also, do you have any supporting person in your family to financially? Because if you have left your job and you started your entrepreneur, who's going to support you financially? So just females out here, we get all these questions, 100% agree, aligned with it, but men also get tough questions, and believe me, I ask very tough questions before I raise capital or invest or do any engagements, because hey, he's the bread and butter of the family, and if he's not going to, who's the other person? Because even he can leave the company like this. So understand, there's a flip side of the story also.
Thank you for saying that. Anoop, what is holding women entrepreneurs back? He has no idea. It's very diplomatic.
I have no idea, frankly speaking. But that's what I was trying to find out, frankly speaking, from the conversations that we have had. I actually disagree with you that, the gender equality in terms of, treat the women entrepreneurs as this, put yourself in the same shoes as the male entrepreneurs is the message that you want. Yeah, that's at least what I have done in the past is open up this discussion to the crowd and see, do you see any challenges? Okay, and similarly, I opened up this discussion in the Women Startup Summit that happened last week in Kochi. So a lot of things came out. A lot of things came out in terms of one lady from Hyderabad said that men should start to cook and women will have more time to actually concentrate on their business. Okay. In-laws, and I'll tell you another example. A lady came to me and said that I would like to leave my job and go for a better paying job. She used to work for me. I said, Adira, why do you want to do that? Because you're paid well, we have been in this together for the last 5 years. No, sir, the COVID has brought people together into the family. So there is decisions being made for the females by the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the husband, and the, neighbors, right? Everybody decides about how you should move and how, everybody is moving from one company to another because you get a 30% hike. Oh, you're not moving? Everybody is moving, you get a 30% hike. And your husband is saying the same thing, the in-laws are saying. So there is a lot of pressure, even today, that comes on to the women. I believe, again, you can correct me in the discussion, that actually kind of drives some of the decisions, right? Then there is this element, the blunt elements, which I don't want to put out in the public. But there are the elements which we need to be careful about when you get out into the entrepreneurship journey, right? That's another area. Take it or leave it, but it's still there and something that we need to be careful about. So, and then there is the child care. Somebody bluntly told me, if it is US, right? If I leave my kid in a child care and go for taking care of my job or my company, nobody is going to say anything, right? It's a normal. But in India, I don't know the rest of India, but in Kerala, it will be like, oh, you're just leaving the kid and why are you doing this, right? It's a mental toll. So how do you take care of that mental toll? It can only happen through the transformation of the society. And how does that transformation happen? In my opinion, through economic empowerment. If I make 1 lakh per month and my wife is making 10 lakhs per month, I am willing to sit at home, take care of the kid and let her go for the job. And I am seeing a lot of that happening within at least the IT fraternity that I'm talking about. A lot of men are willing to sit at home, take care of the household chorus while letting the wives go to the work. It's not seen as a shame anymore, right? Why? Because money matters. So why would someone do that? How would you prove to the world that it is important? You focus, you make money. There is an economic impact that is coming on the family, and then the whole society will be transformed to think that, it doesn't matter the gender, right? Male, female, whoever is earning better, who's good for the family, or together let's make some money. And whatever is better for the family, it is good. That general perception needs to emerge out of the society. But rather than giving you advices on, what are your challenges or how should you take care of it, I am more interested in hearing the problems that you have faced on the field and see, like I was telling Revathi yesterday, is there anything that we can do from the policy perspective, from the government perspective, which will make life a little better for you? if there is anything like that, that is where we'll focus.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yes. So that's my next question. Next and last, but one final question. What is a single policy change the Kerala government can make or should make to improve this ecosystem for women entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship in general?
I don't think there will be some magic single van which can make these things happen, because the things which we just touched upon, like Anoop was just sharing, the need for financial inclusion or financial freedom. To add on to it, unless it's complemented by the political freedom. When we discuss in certain women entrepreneurship programs, we do at times we did a role play wherein we asked the participant to imagine, to give us why they joined for the entrepreneurship program, what was who they are, and why they wanted to be an entrepreneur. So most of them told, I'm a housewife, I got a daughter, I got this thing. And the reason why they wanted to get into entrepreneurship mostly was, I wanted to have a better life, I want to travel, I wanted to have a better education for my children. So, and after this first round of iteration, we asked them to imagine that you are your husbands or your male counterpart. And the same question is asked. What would they reply? So, some of them at that moment had moments of tears in their eyes. Then they themselves recognized that they would associate themselves, I am an engineer. So it will be the identity is mostly towards the profession or something like that. And the goals will be much more self-actualizing kind of a goals. So that's one perspective which we have to bring in. And second question which we posed is, let's say there are two women. One is maybe a sales lead in an IT company earning maybe a CTC of 12 to 15 lakhs. And we have another woman who is a Kudumbashree worker who is earning somewhere around 20 to 25K. But the IT professional who is working maybe in a technopark or let's say info park, whose income is being distributed to the mutual fund selected by the husband or a brother or somebody else, who doesn't have the power to decide where the money has to go, is less empowered compared to a woman who may be earning less, but have more freedom of choice of where that can be deployed. So these kind of aspects has to change, as Anoop said, on a cultural side. And at a micro level, at the individual level, when we talked about Vanida and all, there are certain gendered enterprises. When we talk about women entrepreneurship, the natural choice would be food processing, then beautician, garment making. So this is, and even the women entrepreneurs who aspire to come to entrepreneurs also come with similar ideas. When government floats a women entrepreneurship program, then also it comes with a skill development on similar lines. So this social conditioning of gendering of entrepreneurship opportunities is also a fact around here. So we have to have multiple levels of interventions, and it will not happen, as you said, maybe in 1 year or 2 years, but we have to push it in a much more aggressive way so that it gets. So the policy things should be access to infrastructure, access to finance specifically, because in terms of MSMEs, it's mostly asset-based financing. So women, even if they own the land, they might not be able to pledge the land or even the gold or whatever. So access we have to come up with alternative financing modes which are not capital based maybe for them, and other suggestions like how we can have a solution of getting the infrastructure which currently constrains the mobility constraints. Can we have a Anganwadi based woman ecosystem built or something on scale which can help them overcome these challenges of mobility and social security? Those kind of interventions and policies would do. Of course, Government of Kerala and National Government is doing a lot of things like Back to Career campaign. There are, we might be the state with most number of doctorate housewives. So how to bring them back to the career? So there's a drive happening like that. There's a back to career. Then try to make them part of the gig and knowledge economy. I think KSUM is doing a great job there. So where these kind of lot of constraints which we discussed could be mitigated to a certain extent with the deployment of technology and new initiatives like that. So I think the government can, all of them are thinking in the right direction. Only thing is maybe we can accelerate that in those lines. Thank you.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that there's no magic bullet for women entrepreneurship. It's setting aspirational goals, wanting that financial freedom, wanting to develop our skill set, and forgetting gender. Have I summarized it correctly? Hopefully. So now, the last question, absolutely last question. Name one person who's doing the most for Kerala's ecosystem, in your opinion, for women entrepreneurship. You cannot give my name, of course. Sorry. Some other name. Okay, so you can appoint yourself also. In your opinion, who is doing the most for women entrepreneurship? You can give your name also.
Well, I'm looking at Sheila Kuchausepchitlu.
All right.
Sitting right here. Because, it's, like I said, that magic that Vanitha did was not a small thing. It's sensitization that it is possible, right? And you need to have, and if I'm already financially free in terms of family income, then why would I plunge again and do it again, right? That will only absolutely happen from passion of doing it. And ma'am, I acknowledge that passion, and I think you have been a role model for the rest of the women in the city.
Thank you. Definitely we have to invite him again and again, right, for all WEN events now. Okay, I'm sorry, we need to wrap it up. Two things I wanted to acknowledge. Brahmins Foods, our sponsors, is Mr. Srinath here in this crowd. He's not here. Just wanted to thank him because they were more popular, more sexier panels and speakers they could have sponsored, but they chose to sponsor this panel discussion. I appreciate that. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. Popular, which one? Popular or the sexier? Which one hurt more? And I just wanted a special shout out to 15 women leaders from Suyati Technologies, my company, who are here to support women entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for being here.